congratulations on this fantastic documentary film. So obviously, for those that haven't seen it yet, what can they expect when we watch The Last Journey?
We wanted to make an entertaining and funny film about a heavy topic, which is the impossibility of a parent getting older and maybe, you know, going into depression and eventually dying. There is something very relatable about that. Philip has that experience with his wonderful father, who after retirement just started sitting at home in his Belgian armchair, and Philip wanted him to shake him out of the funk or the apathy. So he called me and said, I'm gonna go on this journey with my father. I think that might help him. And I thought to myself, is that gonna work really? Maybe there is a story here. How is this gonna pan out? So we decided to film it with a very small crew. So we thought that it was going to be like a heartwarming, uplifting story about a man regaining his zest for life. But during the trip, as the viewers will see, it's mainly about him having to accept the inevitable, that his father is never going to be who he once was.
I think that just in the end, that's where you nailed it.
Yeah.
They
needed some context, for fuck's sake.
Those 2 minutes before that was, not really relevant.
But, context, they have seen nothing.
Well, she has seen.
Yeah, but for the viewers.
No, but I said it's about like how hard it is to accept that your parents are getting older, and I think that's probably why it seemed to at times, resonate with people, because we're all gonna face this, or we're in the middle of it. It's not fun, but it's also a film about it's impossible to stop time.
Yeah.
Even though rationally I know that rationally, but still, it dawned on me very late that
You've never been the most rational of human beings either. But
no,
that's
I'm proud of that.
That's you.
I'm proud of that.
Philip, for you taking, your best friend Fredrik on this journey with you, and your father, but not your mum, what was the choice of that, and just having the trio, the three of you go on?
The answer to that is quite easy. Since I spoke to my mom about my idea was, hey, I want to take my dad on this trip because maybe, that could make him, happier than he is. So maybe he could even, sort of find his way back to his old self. So, and my mom thought that was a great idea, because also for her, it's tough being there. She spends time, she's there 24/7, so it's like for her to get a break, and she's been trying constantly to like convince my dad that there's a lot to live for, and you see her in the film, she says, we've got 10 years left. She's always positive, but that doesn't help. So I felt like, okay, I'll give it a try. So that's why she's really not in it. And then Fredrik, one could say like, yeah, maybe you could just gone on this trip by yourself with your dad. But I think I kind of knew that this would become a sort of a emotionally tough experience for me, and that it would be like a roller coaster in some way. So that, I guess we're best friends. So it's more like for me to have I needed to have something there that I could, lean on when things got tough, and also he knows my dad so well. But I didn't know what he then became is sort of the catalyst. I mean, he's the one telling me the truth in the end. There's a scene where he says, you think there's a magic wand, Philip, that you could use, and then everything will be like it always been, so that you became the truth teller in a way.
Truth teller and emotional support animal.
The character that's cold in this very warm film.
Yeah, maybe.
And I think obviously we see at the start that your dad falls, and you sort of think, oh my God, we see your frustration, we really feel it. It's like, oh my God, he's not going to do this. And you're like, come on, we're going to keep going. And that is when the relatability starts. If you've gone through this journey with, your parents, you want them to be okay. You don't want to, you don't want to lose their tower of strength that you're used to. And we really see that. And then obviously at the end of the film, there is this element of acceptance for the inevitable. How did that change your relationship with your dad? And are you really glad that you did this journey with him?
Yeah, but I think it really, truly changed my relationship to my dad, because before, as we've said already, like I thought I could possibly change the course of his life, or maybe like, okay, Dad, maybe you could suddenly go back, maybe you could become the guy you once was. During this journey, of course, it became more and more obvious to me that no, that's not gonna happen. And that also made me realize that I shouldn't, pressure my dad to be someone who he isn't, because to deal with your aging parents, that is associated with a lot of frustration as well. That comes from love usually, but you're like, please don't be this way, I don't want you to. Where's your fighting spirit? And that is, I mean, I think it's very human. I need to be nice to myself here, but it's not beneficial in any way, because life is, there's many chapters in life, and this, I don't know if it's the last chapter, but there's not that many chapters left. There is some good times and some really valuable, experiences to be had there as well. So why spend the last time, so to speak, on just like trying to make my dad come alive again? It's better to like realize this is who he is now. And that's also great. There's a silver lining to that, era of my life as well. I think that is, so now when I talk to him, it's not like before I was like, come on, now it's time to, not, get out of that armchair. Now it's more like I just talk to him, and it's better, There's this point in the film when he says, I hope you're not disappointed with me, he says that. And that really breaks my heart, or it broke my heart when I see that. And I think a lot of kids, their parents feel that way. Like, I'm sorry that I'm not who I once was,
God, I've got like tears in my eyes. It's so emotional. And obviously, can you talk a little bit about putting this film together? I mean, you use the Renault, and that gives us sort of, because it's a slow vehicle, we get a lot of beautiful cinematography, but you also piece it together. You're very lucky that you have footage of your father and your holidays and everything that you piece together. And then this amazing sort of music score from, Christian also. Can you talk about coming together and collaborating and where those ideas came from?
We really wanted this to be, we wanted people to go to the theaters to see this. That's a tall order with any film nowadays. So we wanted to make it as big as possible, the contrast of this little man, if you will, and to make it like an epic about him, and also to show France the way they see France, their idealized version of France, romanticized version of France. I mean, France doesn't always look like it does in this film, but it's got fairy tale elements to it almost, just because we wanted to make an entertaining film, but also it's true to their relationship to France. So we wanted it to be beautiful and big for a documentary.
It's like, the film now, it's called The Last Journey, but in a way it could be, we treat him as if the movie could be called Lars, just his first name, like Gandhi, you know, like Lars. But and that was the idea, and I think I think that's also why people can relate. They're like, okay, I also had this person in my life. Might not have been your parent, but someone, and so it's a celebration to good people, that have affected your life in good, memorable ways, I guess.
Well, congratulations on this. And I think, it's done very well, because it's also been submitted for the international Oscar nominations. So congratulations on that. And what do you hope that viewers will take away when they watch this?
In Sweden, at least, we've had so many very rewarding and crushing stories from people who have seen the film and, immediately called their parents. They went on trips with their parents. Somebody went to Italy with their 97-year-old grandfather because he wanted the last... They drove, like me, and maybe in a better car, but still drove all the way to Italy because he wanted one last beer at his favorite restaurant. And all these things, like people, getting in touch with their loved ones because they see your film. That's an incredible thing to inspire people if you're able to do that. So I think that's everything here is just gravy. But I mean, the whole sitting here in front of a backdrop talking to you, that's incredible. But the fact that people reach out to their loved ones is stunning to me.
We said that in the beginning while we were planning this, and I remember someone said like, okay, let's try to make a film where once they leave the movie theaters, when people leave the movie theater, maybe they will pick up the phone and call their mom, their dad, or someone they love, or send a text. Because you don't need to go, that's also part of, what you want them to, you ask what they could take with them from this film. It's also like, you don't need to go to France. You don't need to do, it doesn't take these like big efforts. You could just call your parents, or you can text them. And we're not perfect when it comes to that either, but I try to remind myself, because every time I talk to my mom and you talk for 3 minutes, she's like, thank you for calling. And that's what you don't have to say thank you. I should call her.
Well, guys, thank you so much for speaking to me.
Well, thank you.
Good luck with everyone else watching it and enjoying it as much as me. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Take care.